You are now listening to the smooth sensations and high vibrations of Alex, host of the best relationship channel on YouTube. Alex, drop them gems on us.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Alex. Shout out to the Elite Fleet. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can become a member of Elite Fleet. And today I want to talk about how people with kids should date other people with kids. Because I see too much women with kids talking about I don't want to date nobody who got kids. Men with kids talking about I don't want to date nobody with kids. I don't want to be a stepdad. I don't want to be a stepmom. And that makes sense to me if you don't have any kids. But for you to have kids and have that mentality, that's a red flag. I need all the women and the men watching this video to realize a woman with kids who does not want to date a man who has kids is a red flag. A man with kids who does not want to date a woman who has kids is a red flag. It does not make any sense. If you just happen to fall in love with someone who doesn't have any kids, I'm not talking about that. That's fine. I'm not condoning that or none of that. I'm talking about men and women who specifically go out and say, I want to date someone who doesn't have kids. Anyone who doesn't have kids and runs into someone like that should view that as a red flag. Something's off there. It doesn't make sense. Let's be logical about this. For you to have a child and say you don't want to date someone who has a child is essentially you saying you don't want to date yourself. It's essentially you saying you're a bad situation. It's essentially you're saying you're bringing unnecessary baggage. The person should be looking at that like, well, why the hell would I want to talk to you if you wouldn't even talk to you? Not only that, right? Not only is it showing low self-esteem, but it's also showing you this is not a good person. Let me break that down further. See, what you would think is, again, logically, if you have a child, your partner has a child, y'all both understand each other because you're both parents. Y'all can talk about the school. Y'all can talk about how hard it is or the good times and the moments raising your kids. Your kids can have play dates together. All right? You guys might even be able to exchange daycare, babysitter information and things of that nature, right? If you guys work out and you decide to become a long-term couple or get married, no kid has to feel left out. Because at the end of the day, the dad came in with a kid out of the marriage. The mom came in with a kid out of the marriage. And then y'all had one kid together. So everybody's balanced. You don't got to worry about one kid getting more love than the other kid or any of that nonsense. See, when you have a kid and you get with someone who doesn't have kids, what happens sometimes, especially if you can't vet properly, is the person has a child with you and they love that child more than your child because that's their child. And that child gets extra privileges. That child gets treated different by your spouse's family because that's actually their child. For example, you knock up a woman who doesn't have any kids. Sometimes, honestly, oftentimes, again, if you're not good at vetting, that woman's family is going to treat the kid you had with her better than your kid because they have no connection to that kid. They have no reason to treat that kid the right way. Vice versa, if you're the man and you bring the extra kid, they're probably not going to treat that kid the same way. But if you both have an outside kid and then you have a kid together, nobody's got to worry about that through it. But most likely, if you both have outside kids, everything's going to be absorbed in together. Alright, so usually the family dynamics work better if you both have one outside kid versus if only one person has one outside kid. Alright, it's harder for a kid to be ostracized in a situation like that. Let's go even deeper because I can go all day on why this doesn't make any sense. If a man has a child and he wants to date women exclusively who don't have kids, you gotta question, why would I want to have your kid? Because whatever happened in the first relationship, it may be the person was a bad person. I'm not saying that she wasn't. Maybe she was the devil wears Prada, right? Maybe she was just a terrible human being. But at the end of the day, you had a kid with her, walked away from her, and won't even date another woman with a kid. Now, that means you may do the same thing to me. You're automatically on, I gotta watch out before you make me a single mom alert. Right off of the bat. It also shows irresponsibility in the man. Why does it show irresponsibility in the man? Because, again, he's already a dad. Any man who loves being a father, any man who loves kids, who loves the dynamic of family, would embrace dating a woman who had a kid. because it would just be an expansion of his family. For him to date you and you don't have any kids, it shows irresponsibility because he's saying he doesn't want to take on anybody else's BS when he already has BS. So this person is selfish and irresponsible because he doesn't want any more responsibilities. So a man who doesn't want to date a woman who has kids, you got to question if he wants to even have kids with you. And if he does want to have kids with you, again, how active is he going to be with those kids? Because he wouldn't accept you if you already had one. And it's the same thing with a woman. Most of the time, a woman who says, I only want to date men who don't have kids is a gold digger. Here's why. Women aren't dumb. They're very aware a man who doesn't have a baby mother, a man who doesn't have a child is going to have more resources. So what she wants to do is get into this situation where all the resources, all the energy, all the time and the attention is for her and her child. She doesn't want to compete for attention and money and time and effort with your kid. She wants all that money to herself. She wants all that time to herself. She's trying to get in a situation where it's just me and my child, and she's going to use the child against you oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes, as an excuse to get more money out of you. Oh, well, I got a kid, so I need a little bit more. Oh, well, me and my kid need this, or me and my kid need that. That's why she doesn't want you to have a kid, because it's hard to use the guilt of, oh, well, I got a kid, or my son needs this when you already have a son. Or my daughter needs this when you already have a daughter. But if you don't have any kids, it's like, oh, you don't understand. She can guilt trip you, basically. And again, similar to the man, she's a selfish individual. She doesn't want to step up for anything a man has going on, but she wants you to step up for what she has going on. These people are predators. And they're bad decision makers. And what they're basically doing is saying, I messed up. I picked the wrong person to have a family with. And so now I'm going to go and try to start fresh. I don't even think that reflects good on the kid, to be honest with you. Because it's almost like, again, if you won't date someone with kids, I got to question how much you care about your own kid. Because now you're going to go out here and try to start fresh with someone who doesn't have any kids. So you can try to make a family the right way with one person. But what about this kid? At the end of the day, you already had this kid. And you're no longer with the kid's father or the kid's mother. So what about that kid? Are you going to treat your kid you had with this woman and y'all family different than you treat your own kid? These are things you have to consider and you have to think about. Now, the best thing and the most logical thing for people with kids to do, if we're being honest here, is to date other people with kids. Now, I started off the video talking about why that is, right? But that's the best and the most logical thing for them to do. Or if they don't want to date other people with their kids, their next best option, honestly, before they go and bother people who don't have kids, would be to get back with their baby mother or their baby father. Now, again, if she was crazy, she was busting the windows out your car, she was popping your tires, and she was doing all types of nut stuff, then no, you shouldn't go back with her. If your baby father was abusive, he was selling drugs, running drugs in and out the house, popping guns, doing drugs, couldn't keep a job, was just a bad individual, then no, you shouldn't get back with him. But let's be honest, most of the time, people who have kids and they split up with their baby mother or their baby father, or even in a divorce, a lot of times people split up because of petty reasons, petty arguments. Someone, said something the wrong way, or someone thought they had a better option or something like that. Usually it's not because the person they had a kid with is a terrible person, because again, you had a whole child with this person. A woman can die giving birth. I repeat, a woman can die giving birth. So you love that man enough to bring forth his seed, he can't be that bad of a person. Or again, that's a red flag. I'm looking at you like, what the hell's wrong with you? Right? Vice versa. If you love the woman enough to put your seed into her and try to make it work, she can't be that bad of a person. So the next best option, honestly, for people who have kids is to get back with their baby mother or baby father, drop whatever the pettiness is, and try to redo their family this time with more growth, more maturity. Maybe they took a little bit of a break and they learned something, so now they can get it right this time. But the last thing they should be doing is bothering people who don't have kids. That's predatory, like I said, in my opinion. It's almost like they're trying to take advantage of someone else who doesn't know any better. Right? People with kids need to date people with kids. It's the best situation for them. Or clean up the situation they had with their baby mother and baby fathers, assuming that it wasn't that bad. But they should not be dating people who don't have kids. Most of the time, viable, a few exceptions to the rule. Alright? So that's my thoughts on that topic. I am Alex, and I am out. Peace.